So here they're asking us to reflect the square root function, which we are relatively familiar with. Basically, you take every value and you find its square root. So the square root of 0 is 0, the square root of 1 is 1, the square root of 4 is 2, and we can probably go out one more, although it won't fit on our curve. Square root of 9 is 3. We can't plug in negatives because you cannot find the square root of a -1 that's not defined, or the square root of anything else that's negative. So that's why we end up with this function that only has one side, and that's this function here. Now, if we want to reflect it, it says first vertically. So a vertical reflection, you basically take, and I think that's going to be this one. You're going to take S of t, which is the square root of t, and let's create a new function. Let's call it v for vertical reflection, v of t, and what we have to do is we have to put a minus sign in the front, and that creates a vertical reflection. You're basically taking all the outputs and you're making them negative. So it's okay to make the outputs negative. It's the inputs that can't be negative because you can't have square root of a negative number. So that's why everything that was up here is all of a sudden on the bottom, because you've reflected it over the x-axis, and now it's become negative instead of positive. The way you reflect things horizontally, and that's over here. I'll write the word horizontal over here. You take the function, and forgive me, I don't have a lot of space here, but so I think I'm going to erase this one just for space. You take the function, which is S of t, which is the square root of t, and let's build a new one. Let's call it h of t. You have to put the minus sign inside. Okay, now you say, well, I thought you just told me I can't put a minus sign in the inside. Well, as long as I restrict my inputs to be less than 0, and they could be 0 as well, then that's okay, because the opposite of the negative is gonna work, and that's why they end up over here. So that's why it shifts to the left, because all you can plug in are these negative numbers, but plugging in a negative number will give you a positive input. So that's how the reflections vertically and horizontally work.